Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Drag Race Recap here on RHAP. We know reality TV. Today, we're going to be talking about episode 8 of RuPaul's Drag Race season 17. I am back, baby, ready for the musical. But this wonderful group of individuals held down the fort while I was gone. Of course, Andy Heron was a fantastic guest, but the panel did all the heavy lifting. First, let me welcome in Beth Dixon. Beth, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm happy to have you back. It was so nice to have Andy on the podcast, and we had such a great time. But of course, we missed you. And it's nice to have a really good Rusical, in my opinion, to talk about, which we had predicted last week. This would probably be pretty good considering Wizard of Oz, Wicked, and The Wiz are all like significantly cultural in different ways, especially within the queer community and within the Black community. So like this was going to be something that was really special, and I think it was.
Exactly. It may have been a disaster of a snatch game, but it was a really, really fun musical. And
right.
We'll get into everything, of course, with this man as well. Aman Adwin, how are you?
I am great. So happy to be back with the two of you. And I loved this Rusical. I'm a big the Wiz is probably the first musical that I've ever really that I have like memory of like getting introduced to outside of like Disney films. So it's my mom's favorite movie, so we watch it a bunch of times. She loves Michael Jackson, so there's that. And yeah, I'm just so happy to like so apropos. They knew what they were doing. They knew what they scheduled this at the right time in the wake of all of the wickedness going on right now. So I thought this was so timely and just so fun, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Exactly. A lot of synergy going on. So I know, Beth, also, you're a big musical theater person. So how did you feel overall about this musical?
What I thought was really funny about it was like I was expecting that it would be a combination of the story of like the Wizard of Oz in some capacity. And it was really a chorus line, which is even funnier to me, that there's no reference to the idea that it's going to be the musical chorus line. And then it starts off with basically the God, I hope I get it. I hope I get, and I was like, what are we doing? Like, no, it made no sense in terms of like what the title of the musical is, other than what the characters are auditioning. I thought that was genius. Like, throw something that is like, how many parodies of the Wizard of Oz have we seen? You're talking about two different stories of the Wizard of Oz based off of the Wizard of Oz, right? So you have all these things. So I thought it was actually really cool from a musical theater geek perspective to be like, oh my God, there's like 4 musicals that they're referencing here. But I thought it was really great. I thought that the Queens nailed it. I thought that Jamal Sims nailed it, choreography wise. And I'm really excited because I do think that this was a judging that was about splitting hairs at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Well, Aman, as a Wiz fan, what did you think about this interpretation?
I loved it. I like that we have, Harlem Dorothy. Obviously, Onya picking that up was, the best choice for her. I thought that there was like, I love that it was sort of like meta and not like, because, you hear the Wicked Wiz of Oz, you think it's going to be like a crossover between all three. But instead of doing that, they did like a more of like a meta approach where it's like, we're all aware of where we come from, and we're all coming together to fight for like this new interpretation of all three of our stories. So I just thought that was really fun, and just it gave what it needed to be gave. Onya looked so much like Diana Ross. Like I like the 10-year-old me was just like living for the Ease on Down the Road choreography that Jamal put in there. I was just like, yes! I was here for it. I was so here for it.
It was. I agree with both of you. I thought that this was super fun. I actually went back after I watched the episode and I watched all the previous musicals from the past 4-ish seasons. And Moulin Rouge maybe would top this. But other than that, I thought that this was absolutely fantastic. I thought it was better than Wigloose. I thought it was better than, what was the other one I watched? No, whatever. Yeah.
Let loose, even though that's not what it was from.
Yeah, I know.
But they should have done wig loose. Let me wig loose. They should have changed that in the middle of the season.
Yeah, they had known the cultural phenomenon that Let Loose would become from Lucy DeLuca. But no, I think that.
I love that was a mistake that you made a couple of times when we were talking about that season. 2 years later, we're coming back to it, baby.
It's ingrained. It's ingrained.
So
I'm
good.
sorry. That's her name now. No, so I think that one of the other benefits that this Rusical had is that because they did the chorus line thing, it actually made it a little bit easier to sort of follow what was happening, right? That and it was also an opportunity that every queen got to really showcase. I mean, some of them obviously were in groups. We had the Lioness, the Tin Woman, the Scarecrow. They were all grouped together. The Flying Monkeys were grouped together, but still, they each, even within that, kind of got an opportunity to showcase something unique about themselves. Or with the Flying Monkeys, it was an opportunity to try to stand out in a group. So I think that the way that it was structured also worked quite well, and I think allowed us to have an opportunity to really judge individual cast members. But to Beth's point, it really was splitting hairs. And why am I always so astounded that drag queens are good at lip syncing? Like always every season, I'm like, wow, everyone's doing really well.
Yeah, but that's the thing that's interesting, because the Rusical did not always have recorded music like that they lip sync to. They normally had to sing live. And I actually really like that they don't sing live anymore, because I do think that while it is a musical challenge, and that live singing, even if you're not a confident singer, can be, I think it's an unnecessary additional challenge on some. We already get the point of the challenge, right? If they lip sync to it. And I really think that when you look at the past few seasons and the strength of the Rusicals that we've gotten, some of it is writing, but the other part of it, I truly do think, is because they're lip syncing and not having to worry about, I didn't hit that note and now my confidence is shot and blah, 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 blah. But I love that they're lip syncing to it now. And I think that they sound so, because then you also have the production who's going to work on their voices a little bit too, if they need to. And I just think that that's a good way to go about it.
Yeah, I like that they're lip syncing and laying down their own vocals as well, because I feel like it personalizes each musical to its respective season. Because we remember the Rusicals of yester season, but like I think it really just adds so much more texture when it's the queens themselves doing it. And like this is, believe it or not, like, because I love the Rusicals usually, but this is the first time that I was like, I want to download this. I want to listen to these songs. My favorite song in particular, I think it was the one with the Tin Woman and the Lioness and
that was a good song.
It was so good. The harmonies on that song were so beautiful. I was like, bitch, like, wait, hold on now. They might be cooking real quick. Like, so yeah, this was so fun. So fun.
That's how I felt about Onya's. I was like, I'm downloading this.
Right?
Latest single on Spotify. Yeah, I love that. I think to go back to Beth's point about the live singing, I agree that I think it's not necessary. I do think though it can add a fun layer sometimes. Like I, in my rewatch of all the Rusicals, was reminded about in Cher, the unauthorized Rusical, where oh my god, who was it? You get the moment of, I just screwed up all those lines, right? Oh my god, who am I? Asia O'Hara.
Yes. Okay.
So that, like, that also provides like a really
I
fun
just
moment.
think of vocoder, like her being like, Miss Cracker, like being lifted up in the air and having to sing that into but like she had like the auto tune. So
yeah. So, it can be fun. I think it has to be for the right cast though. And I do think that for this cast, this was fun to have them, to do the pre-mixed audio. And I think it worked really well.
Yeah.
We're going to go through each of the queens. So I have the looks from the runway, which was the parasol themed runway. So we can talk about the runway and then their individual performances. Essentially, this is in order in which they performed. So the first queen that we're going to talk about is Suzie Toot, coming off of her controversial, is that what it would be? Controversial reaction, maybe, to the Snatch Game and that whole situation. She also comes into this episode not wanting to play the Green Witch, but ultimately, I think this was a really great fit for her. So
who else was going to play that? Like, let's be honest. Like, truly, who was going to do the Suzie Toot treatment to the Green Witch in a way? Like, I could see someone like Onya doing really well, but Onya has to play Harlem Dorothy. I'm sorry. Like, that's just something, like, I was waiting for somebody to not know what the whiz is and having some, like, like Lydia be like, I want to be Harlem Dorothy. And be like, okay, girl, like,
no, you don't.
No, you don't. We're gonna reel that shit in real quick. That's what we're gonna do. I truly think that, like, I don't really understand why Suzie was making such a big deal of that. I'm gonna be
She
honest.
needs her third win. I watched the
Mhm.
Roscoe's interview. Corey King and Georges were the guests this week, and Corey was like, "Yeah, like I love Suzie down, but like she just was obsessed with getting a third win to like really lock in her position to make it to the end of the season." And I just think that that's all she just had tunnel vision. But she did a good job on this one.
Yeah.
I feel like the only reason that she didn't win, honestly, is because I feel like her heart kind of was not in it. Like I feel like there were like moments of the performance where I was like, I see that you're disengaged. You're disengaged right now. So, but that's just, a testament to how much of a performer that she is, that even in those moments, she still just really pulled it out. So, and the beat was on point. The fashion was on point. I was feeling it, baby. I was feeling it.
Her makeup was stunning. It looked absolutely gorgeous. And I do wonder if part of the reason why she didn't want to go for this character is because she felt like this is what they're going to expect of me. So she maybe wanted to do something that was a little bit outside of that. But it's like, girl, that's a great fit for you. Sometimes you should stay in your wheelhouse.
Yep.
I think her wheelhouses give me one of the bigger, most notable roles, and I'm going to make it something like I actually think she should have fought for something that she could have made something out of it. Like she should have fought to be in a group and overshadow other people. That's what she should have done, to say, like, this is in my wheelhouse. I want to make sure, if I want to ensure a win, then I need to show up other people. And if I'm by myself, you either have to be like so incredible and so in it to win when you're her, because people are expecting of that, or you got to put yourself in a position where like you are so the best of a group so that you stand out even more. And I just feel like she didn't do that. And I don't know if she would have been allowed to by the other girls. I don't think anybody wanted to be in a group with her, so I don't know if that would have happened, but I don't know. I just felt like it's interesting that like Sam Starr was getting all of the like critiques about being too into the competition and all that stuff. And we obviously will get to her and her performance this week, but I just sat back and I'm like, Suzie, girl, you got to follow some of the same advice here, because this was your challenge. And rather than having your whole heart and soul into it, we got you basically kind of being like, yeah, I know I could do this and I'm doing it well, but like whatever. Like that's the energy.
This was the of it all. Like, come on now.
Oh my god, that's so true.
I kind of wish that they would have waited to do this one more year so that they knew what the battle cry that Thea does in Wicked would be, so they would incorporate that in some capacity. But I do I also just have to say I agree with RuPaul that like this is her blonde moment. Like this is the color blonde that looks so good on her with her beat and this parasol runway. Even though it's kind of a simple bodysuit and, matching gloves and shoes and such, I think that it's all put together very clean and it's not overly accessorized. But that said, I do think it's a little too simple at this stage in season 17 for a runway and that kind of thing. But I do think that this is probably my favorite paint that she's ever done in her face.
Yeah, I feel like it just needs like a little something, like maybe like a flare out type skirt deal towards the back, or like a belt, or like just something to just take it that extra mile. It's a beautiful garment. And I love the parasol, I love it all. But yeah, I do feel like it's just a little understated. Just a little.
Like layered tulle flared out from the hip A-line kind of thing. Like something that is like
to give it a little bit more
but
edge.
like but like give some body to it at the bottom and like make that parasol like be the thing that balances out a skirt. Like I felt like there could have been just something there, or like the Detox All-Stars 2 finale dress, that kind of ballerina tooled out kind of. She looks so beautiful. It's like that peach.
You said All-Stars 2 finale?
Yeah, the Detox's finale look that she like lip syncs for the crown, and it has like there's like there's like a little tulle layered kind of aspect to it that I feel like she could have done something similar here with this bodysuit that would have like still showcase how beautiful it is that it comes over the hips a little bit more.
Yeah.
But then like having the tool, I don't know. That was just something that as I watched this runway, I was like, man, I feel like something like that would have been like
just take it over that.
Yeah, would have made it an A+ from like, an A- or something.
Well, she does end up in the top, even though in Untucked, some of the queens try to put her in the bottom, which was pretty funny. They do like an Abby Lee Miller style dance moms, like pyramid of them, and mainly just to mess with Suzie. But
this is the first and only Untucked I've been able to watch this season because I actually watched the episode live for once, and I was like living for the. I will say this. Corey King has not shown us a lot in the competition other than being shady and other than finding good ways to undermine people. And then like you have Lexi who's doing the same thing, but like I like am living for that kind of energy, that kind of like old school, I'm going to play the mental game energy a little bit, but do it in a fun, shady queen kind of way, not in like I'm a horrible person kind of way.
She was, and yeah, she talked about that a lot at Ross, because she was like, bitch, like I was here to play the games. Like I was in every confessional that I had, I made sure that I said something that was like something they could not edit out, something that they would not want to delete. Because I wanted to, she was like, why am I in the episode and I don't even have like a big storyline this time?
Hello.
Like she's like, hey, like she was cooking, bitch. She said specifically that she was really trying to pump Suzie up a little bit because Suzie was like really feeling her. She's like, yes, sister, like, yes, kill them, like get your fucking win, bitch. Like I was like, yes, you over here really.
I'm dying. That's amazing.
Oh, that's so great. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Jules Sparkles, who does also have to fight for the Good Witch, which is the character that she ultimately plays. And I thought the nip slip was on purpose. Turns out the nip slip was an accident. I mean, at least that's the way that the show kept talking about it. Regardless, Jules absolutely nails this, Aman. I think that she did so well.
I am so upset that she didn't win. And it wasn't even the nip slip of it all that should have guaranteed the win. You know, I'm not saying that like show a little boob and you should win. I'm just saying like
I am.
Really
I'll say that all day, every day.
She really embodied that character, like the physicality of it all. Like I was she woke me up, and this is the second number, and I was like, oh my god, okay, Jules, like everything that like she executed everything so just delicately, but still like a whore. It was so fun, and I'm pissed that she didn't win. I'm pissed.
I'm gonna be honest. I think the reason why she did so well here is it's kind of twofold. One, because I think all of us, even though she did a serviceable, good job that landed her in the top, felt like there was energy missing from Suzie, and then Jules comes out here and throws her entire pussy into it, literally and figuratively. And it is like, oh, okay, like you said, Aman, like all of a sudden I was like, oh, let me adjust myself and sit up in my seat and watch this. Like that's how I felt with her. But the thing that Jules was able to do with the Good Witch, which is why I'm happy she really fought for this and got it, is that she has already this kind of innocent girl next door vibe, but then is able to also balance that out with being an absolute fucking slut, which I loved on stage, because that is the kind of vibe that this role is going for. And it's really not that easy to do that if you're trying to go beyond just relying on a look to provide the girl next door vibes, right? So if you're like, oh, the pastel pink and the bubble kind of thing, and like, oh, I'm so innocent, whatever. If you're only relying on your look to give you that, you're not going to do as well. She was able to do that side and the kind of like horny side of things. And I thought it was so good. And then I thought this runway was one of my favorites. It's like, when I think of parasols and such, like there is a part of me that did think of like, oh, okay, funeral shroud kind of thing, and then parasol and that kind of thing. But also then having the parasol at like it feels like she's at a premiere or something like that, like or a gala or something that's not funeral. And so like it just to me instantly like went to a whole, I don't know, she just showed so many different sides of her in one episode that are all very Jules without like not having that vibe from her. I don't know. I just felt like this was probably her best episode yet. And I agree with you, Aman. I was shocked when RuPaul said that she was safe. I thought that he was giving a double win.
Yeah. I'm sad about it. I'm very sad about it.
The other thing too for Jules is, I mean, okay, this is my bias probably because I've been a Jules fan from the beginning, the very, very first episode.
You
But
knew.
I think
You knew.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like the fact that she did so well last week, she did so well this week. I'm like, come on, the momentum is there. But the show wanted to give the momentum to Sam, right? And like, okay, fine. But I just don't want Jules to be underrated because I think that she's bringing
Right.
so much to the table, and I like want her to be rewarded for that. So to me, I see a super strong performance. Not that the weeks carry into one another. We see this with Crystal getting eliminated. Right. You can be on your high horse, still do poorly, and go home. But I just like, I feel that momentum, that positive energy for Jules, plus the fact that her runway was absolutely gorgeous. Like to me, she just knocked it out of the park this week. Her paint, beat for the gods. It's amazing. I just really wanted her to get that. Similar to you, Aman. Like I just think she deserved the win this week.
This was hers. She was truly robbed.
I know.
Okay.
How hot?
And the fact that she was trying to like put the nipple back in was just so funny. It was not
so
back
good.
But also where she was like, oops, try to put it back in, it pops back out, and then she's like, whatever. Like I thought that was great. And like that's how you deal with
It was a performance within a performance. It was so good. Whatever. Whatever, RuPaul.
Whatever. All right, let's talk about our trio here. So this is the Arrietty is the first queen that we're going to talk about who performed, and I'm going in order of the runway, so we'll come back to Sam Star. But this is Arrietty who does the scarecrow, which was fine. It was safe to me.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I've seen The Wiz so many times, so many renditions of it. You need the rag doll in it. Like, I'm not saying that she didn't do well with what was given to her, but I was just missing, as far as the choreo is concerned, for all three of them, I wasn't getting much characterization from any of them. They all kind of just felt like a trio that were just dressed differently. So, I mean, she was fine. She was okay. Nothing to write home to mother about, but it was fine. It was fine.
I felt like this was the best acting job she's done so far on the show, where it wasn't too over the top, where it wasn't like there wasn't a perspective and she was just doing something like the cave woman kind of thing, but it also wasn't too understated or like I'm just a baby like aspect. So like I want to like reward her and give her flowers that like this was a good job. That said, I agree with you wholeheartedly, Aman, that like you need to add the physicality of these. Like the whole point of these three characters is that they are very physical in three very different ways. This is the one that's no bones. You know what I mean? Like play that no bones. And she did a little bit in the beginning. And then as she was like remembering choreography, lost it. And I can see the wheels turning. So I honestly thought she might get put in the bottom because I felt like out of the trio, she was the one where I saw the wheels turning a little bit. But I did think that she did a serviceable job for the role. But it just like between the Wiz and the Wizard of Oz being like two very physical in two very different but similar ways, draw inspiration from one of the two at the very least, if not both of them, right? So I did think that was weak. When it comes to this runway, this was absolutely gorgeous. I think this is probably one of my favorite ones, but the only thing I'm going to detract points for is I feel like we've seen a lot of black and red from her before in runways. Not that this is the same kind of runway, but and I love that she's, again, it's a cultural thing more than anything. So I'm here for that aspect, but I don't know. I just love this outfit so much.
So rich,
it's gorgeous.
And so velvety, and just so like it just smothers you, honey. I love it.
Big earrings with it. Oh god, yeah.
It looks so heavy. Like in a beautiful way, you know what I mean? Kind of like Sugar Cane's like eggplant dress. Like it just gives that opulence. It's absolutely stunning. Her paint looks amazing. The white nose thing, not too distracting.
How do they be packing all this stuff? I just need to know what bag do they have? What is the luggage?
They ordered whatever Trinity the Tuck got for All-Star 7 when they dubbed her Trinity the Train. outfit because like every friggin' runway had like a 50-foot train on it. Which, by the way, I feel like this is an outfit that Trinity would have worn. If it worked for like the, you know, like the Mexican culture.
See, like it's not even the painting that I would have to do, or the, you know, just all of the work that I would have to do as a drag queen that would make me not want to be a drag queen. It's the fact that I would just be too lazy to delicately pack my shit. I would just throw everything into a bag. Like I don't have time. Like,
have you seen Untucked when they pack? They do that. Oh they're like, whatever.
Like you have to like have packing down to a science for this show. I don't have time, honey. Just throw it in the bag.
Wigs.
Amon's wearing nothing but bodysuits.
Right, like,
like
exactly. I'm going home week 1. Like, it's
like Aman, we're sick of you being naked on the runway. Like, we
love
like, the bold choice.
But... I'm sick of packing. Okay.
You're like, when you auditioned, you didn't audition as a body queen.
I was like, are you gonna pay to check the bags, honey?
I love that the idea is the packing and not the spending tens of thousands of dollars on designers to make your outfits ahead of time. It's the I'm too lazy to pack.
I don't have time for this. I really don't.
Cannot be bothered. Cannot be bothered. Oh my gosh. Okay. So let's talk about our next queen that's part of the trio. So Lana Jer. So she was the one, Beth, and that you felt like Arrietty might be the one of the trio who could end up in the bottom. Lana was the one for me. And I just don't know if it was because of the pure metal paint. I just felt like the emoting from her face was just not there. And maybe that's very robot of her, right? That's very Tin Man of her. So maybe that worked out. But I thought that I could maybe see the wheels turning when it came to Lana's performance. Not that it wasn't good, not that it wasn't serviceable. Again, it's the splitting hairs type, just because everybody is performing generally so well. She was the one who stood out to me the most out of the trio.
Yeah, I felt like she was a little bit more rigid, but I thought that was a choice the way it came across. But the facial expressions, like you're saying, I felt like she was actually more expressive than usual, but not not to the point that you'd want in a musical, right? Where you go a little bit more above and beyond, a little bit more camp, those kind of things. I think that generally one of the things that she has that Law Roach has brought up to her a couple weeks ago is like this confidence issue, but it starts in the face. Like I think she's thinking that she's serving fierce, cute, like, look at me model, but what she's really like, her eyes betray her. And I do think that I got a little bit of that. I could absolutely have seen that. I thought that they were going to read her for the wig because the wig in the front looked cool. But in the back, it was a silver wig on top of a blonde wig. Yeah. And there was no, and I was like, what are we doing here? Yeah, and nobody said anything about it. Like even in Untucked, when like Adam Lambert came back, he was like, I loved your wig. I was like, okay, because like I could see that kind of choice being either applauded on Drag Race. Like, how campy and weird is that? You had a silver wig on top of a blonde. Like, oh, that's so funny. Or I could see them being like, girl, you got to like integrate that a little bit more. So I felt like if they really wanted to put her in the bottom, they really could have. And considering she was in the bottom last week and arguably for many people should have gone home, like I felt like this was an opportunity for producers to be like, oh, let's go. So I don't know if they just saw something in person that like didn't translate well on television or what, but I agree with you.
Yeah. Lana's very interesting to me this season because I feel like every other runway, she's like, yeah, I'm wearing this and this is new for me. Like, this is something that you don't see from me. I'm like, okay, but you're saying that every other runway. So like, what is like, are you just saying that you just don't wear clothes? Like, you're just naked the whole time? And that's fine if you are, but it's just like, I just feel like
Mon's drag.
Like,
exactly.
I just feel like she is very self-aware of the fact that like she has something that she likes to go for, and she is very intent on trying to give the judges a little something extra. And I'm like, I don't know. I just want you to choose the garments that are good for you because they're good for you and not necessarily because you are
like, not because you're going on Drag Race.
Yeah, like it just feels like very much like this is new for me. I don't really like this type of thing, but it's new. I'm like, no, like eat it up, sis. Like, you know, like if gowns aren't your thing, that's fine, but choose a gown that you're going to be like, this is my fucking shit, bitch. I look rich. Like, I don't know. I'm just like, I don't know.
It's
She
the
just feels
confidence
very
thing.
much in her head. Yeah.
Yes.
Did she say that this dress was the one that Lux wore on season 15?
I believe it was the wig.
The
Yeah,
wig.
the
The
wig,
way she was
yeah.
talking about it, I couldn't figure out what she was saying. Like, I thought that she was talking about the dress, and I was like, I guess it's similar to the one that Lux wore. I didn't think it was the exact same one. So I was sitting here like, what is she talking about?
Yeah.
Right. No, I'm pretty sure it was the wig is what she said specifically. Like maybe during the lip sync or something like that. I don't know. Now I'm like mixing up all the
That said, I do want to give her props because I do think that this runway looks really nice on her. And I think
It
that
does.
she is, she's somebody that is like long and lean and doesn't have many curves. And that is how she embraces her drag. And having a gown like this that has proportion that trumpets out, mid thigh, but also still elongates her and has these big poofy, like it's just like a nice alternative to wearing something that is just very skin tight or not much fabric or whatever the case is. And so I thought that this was like a nice change up, but I agree with you, Aman, that I felt like when she was on the runway, it was like, I know I look good, but I don't feel comfortable because this isn't what I normally wear.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But sorry,
she
Liana.
She just sometimes just looks uncomfortable regardless.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that has anything to do with anything. I don't
Listen,
know.
I identify with that. I feel like I'm uncomfortable regardless any situation.
Yeah, right.
Again, as far as her performance is concerned, for me, the physicality just wasn't there. I think that, again, the choreography was fine. It's just I need more rigidness. I need you to, like, you should not be able to move as fluidly as you're moving. And maybe I don't know if that's so much a Jamal problem or if it's a her problem, but
I'm going to tell you straight up, it's a her problem. Because it doesn't matter what the choreography is, as anybody in musical theater will tell you. Okay. You could be a dancer who sings and acts, you could be a singer who dances and sings. If you're a musical theater, the most important thing is acting. If you are not a good dancer, make it a part of your character, bitch. That's what, and then you have to emote that. She needed to take whatever the choreography is that Jamal Sims is doing and add the character physicality into that. So, yes, do the steps. Or if you fuck it up in the sense that, like, oh, I fucked it up because I'm a Tin Man and I can't move well. Like, do something. But there wasn't like the connection between character and movement. And that was the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about the last member of the trio. So Lexi Love, who really connects with the Lioness's story, comes out and performs last. I mean, to me, I thought she was maybe the best of the group.
I agree.
I would say.
I agree.
I felt like she was the best of the group. I still felt like it was a little underwhelming of a performance because I felt like she had a little bit more of the physicality, the like, and then like, whatever, like those kind of things. But I just, and I have to say, this is probably one of my favorite runways that she's done as well. So I do think that she like absolutely nailed the runway this week. That said, I don't know. The more I went back and I watched the Rusical one more time this morning, and I could have seen a case for them to put literally this trio in the bottom as like these are the three bottoms. I mean, I know why they weren't, because I do think that there were performances that were noticeably there's something worse that we'll talk about, but I feel like in this situation, whereas like Suzie Toot could have blown the other two out of the water, Lexi is somebody that I feel like matches the energy of the people around her and like does that job while also standing out. And I kind of like want to give her points for that to a certain extent. But I'm also like, girl, it is Drag Race. You go out there and like show them up, like you be the best one in the line. I don't know. I felt like she was holding back a little. Like that's what I got the vibe from her.
I don't know. I felt like she was. I feel like she gave. I feel like she gave for the lion. It was. I mean, it helps that I believe that the Lion and the Wizard of Oz is also gay. It just feels canon in my head.
Yeah.
So it was giving for me. And I do think that, because I've been critiquing all three of the trio on this physicality thing, I think out of all three of them, she's sort of gave what needed to be gave for a lioness. And so I I appreciated what she brought to that role. As far as this runway is concerned, oh baby, it is like it's like something out of an anime, honey. Like I want to be her. Like I want to
I
be
know.
Lexi Love.
You said anime. Meanwhile, when I watched her come out, I was like, this is a Bond villain.
Ooh.
You know what I
can
mean?
see
Like
that too.
sexy, like Bond. Oh my God. A 2025 Bond where like the villain is a sexy either drag queen or trans woman or something like that plays with gender a little bit more. Like, which would also be a commentary on the there's so much.
I see
Anyway.
it. It's
But
given a bitch that you can't wait to see die. Like,
I'm like, oh my God, I see it now.
No, Beth is writing think pieces before the movie's even out.
Hasn't even been written.
Yeah, exactly.
I just felt like she looks so sexy and opulent in a traditional and also just like so not classy way at the same time, and I love it.
It's the hair color is so stunning on her with that beat, and the interpretation to do the parasol as her hat but then still have the cane like that, and then how she like takes it down.
The illusion. I was like, oh yeah. Yep.
Amazing. That was so cool. I absolutely love that interpretation. So yeah, for me, it was an easy safe, right? I mean, just because other people did so well, like I would never have put her in the top, but like she knocked it out of the park with the runway, and then her performance was good enough that it was like, okay, yeah, she's fine. She'll be fine.
I don't want to compare queens by any means, but she gives me such strong detox. I'm giving so much detox references today, but she gives me such strong detox energy on the runway sometimes where she has like wonderful points of view of like classic high fashion or like in situations like this. But then she'll also have like throwbacks to the 80s, just like Detox has done, and like and plays with bright color like Detox does at times. Like I just feel like I don't know if she has any kind of inspiration through Detox at all, but I could see if that is the case. Not saying that Detox is the be all end all, but like,
hey, we want the collab.
Detox, I mean, if Ru's number one, Detox
Lexi, is. We want it. We want it.
Yeah, it's so good.
Let's move on and talk about Sam Starr, who is actually also inspired. So this runway look, Trinity wore in the secret celebrity drag race. So that was very interesting. She ends up winning this week, Aman. What did you think about that? Obviously, we know you would give it to Jules instead, but how did you feel about Starr winning?
I want to hate on Sam so bad, but this fucking runway bitch. The illusion of that damn skirt with those legs. Oh my God. It's so... Oh, she's a bitch. I hate her.
I know. Amazing.
As far as the performance is concerned, I kind of have to agree a little bit with Arrietty during Untucked. Like, you know, if you can do a Cher impression, you're guaranteed good. It's like a get out of jail free card when it comes to RuPaul. I just feel like she still should not have won. I feel like there were still moments, and I'm glad that Michelle called it out during the reading of the vocals. She was like, "Don't go Elvis," because I heard that was what I heard first, and I still kind of heard a little bit of that in the finished cut. So it's just like, out of all the Cher impressions that we've seen on the show, was this a winning one? I don't think so. But then, you know, with this runway, I'm like, fuck, damn. But I still would have given it to Lexi, or excuse me, Jules.
That would have been wild if you were like, after all that we just talked about Lexi, you're like, I would have given it to like, you were like, whoa. I thought that she did a great job, deserved to be in the top, but I felt like, again, I don't know. I think I just have such a bias against her, and I feel so bad about it.
I just like, you were like on her, you were like really kind of positive last week, and then that was it. That's like, I did it. I was positive towards Sam, no more.
It's so true. I loved her in the workroom this week. I loved the lightness and the playfulness and a little bit of the shadiness that we get to see. And I do love that she is exactly who you think she is in the workroom too, where she is not afraid to speak her mind in whatever the case is. She's not afraid to stir shit up. She's not afraid to go over and go, Suzie, how do you think that you did? Because everybody else here thinks that you're on the bottom, that you flopped hard like last week. I love that about her because that is somebody that is just going to tell you the truth to your face and everything. I love that aspect. And I love that on television. I felt like this week, even though it was more playful to be Cher, I still got perfectionism Cher. Not that it was like that she did a perfect Cher impression. It was like, I am going to be perfect. And then this runway like is gorgeous and I don't know, like I kind of feel like it would have been great to see her do a role that was more physical. Like she should have maybe, in my opinion, been like a monkey or one of the three trio that we just saw and like really showcase the physicality, because all she really had to do was flip her hair back and forth a couple of times and like just do the choreography that was given. I don't think it was like outstanding enough to win. I really don't. I think that she did a good job, deserved to be in the top. This look is incredible. She should have gotten all the roses for it. But I genuinely like was not as entertained by it as I was Jules. Like Jules to me just like knocked it out of the park.
Yeah. I sort of have I have two opinions on this. So also Sam won, so she can tell us all to suck it. Fine. Right? But
bitch, I've never done drag. What am I talking about?
I know, exactly. I completely agree with what Aman said, which is of all the Cher impressions we've seen on the show, this is not even in the top 5, 10 for me, right? Like we saw Cher the unauthorized Rusical, maybe just because I went back and rewatched all of them. But like a lot of those were way better than Sam's.
Yeah.
So like, how is that? There's just it's like the Marie Antoinette look, right? You've seen so many Marie Antoinette looks. So if you have a Marie Antoinette look, you've got to knock it out of the park. I did not have that with Sam. The other piece of umbrage that I take with this is the whole narrative of Sam needs to be less perfectionist, right? Step outside the box. And Beth, you touched on this, which is why is doing a Cher impression being weird and quirky?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Chad Michaels, the perfectionist queen, is known for doing Cher, right? Like that does not inherently imply wackiness or like, oh my God, Sam's showing her personality. It's like, in fact, she's not showing her personality by hiding behind another character. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand why the show is trying to tell me that this is her being quirky and weird.
She should have at the very least done a caricature of like go over the top with Cher. But there's only like I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm like very ignorant in comparison to like a lot of Cherisms and such, but I just feel like there's only so much you can do to give a Cher before you go like too overboard and it's just like, okay, so all you're doing is flipping hair and going, oh, like over to like what else is there? You know, wag wheel on Tuesday. Like that's all you say.
That's what this was. It was it was that level of impression where it like wasn't nuanced in any way. It was just, hey, here's 3 things that we know about Cher. Just do those 3 things over and over and over again. Didn't get it. Didn't appreciate it. Don't think she should have won, but here we are.
Also think it's either shady of the producers to create a role that is completely a Cher impression after having an entire Rusical that is that, and also just Chad Michaels being the legend that, you know, he is in like the entirety of the Drag Race community. I think it's shady for the producers to be like, and now somebody's gonna have to do a Cher impression. Like that's so shady because it's like you have to at the very least like do a serviceable job to be safe. But I feel like then production was like rewarding Sam for doing, in my opinion, the bare minimum of what that should look like.
Yeah.
Don't get it.
But again, I do think I am being somewhat hateful on Sam, and it's so clear that she's an incredible drag artist. I'm not taking any thoughts of touts or whatever. I just like, I'm sick of like the blonde, perfect, skinny Southern white girl from the pageant scene being like,
You have been on Sam's neck all season. I live for it.
Literally, I can't wait for her to like. If she ever sees it, I just want you to know, Sam. I'm sure that you're an incredible person and you are an incredible drag queen, and I will never say that you're not. Like you are fucking talented. I don't connect because I feel like it's just like it grinds my gears. Like it's just something I don't connect with.
Yeah, I feel you.
Let's talk about the monkeys. So these are the flying monkeys. First, Lydia Butthole Kollins with her performance. I think she was very, very fun. I actually really enjoyed her. And maybe it was just like a low expectations that I'm like, okay, she doesn't strike me as like this big theater queen. But I feel, and yeah, there's probably more that she could have done. But I just really liked her vocal performance. And then she was the one, and we see this comparison in the critiques of Corey, where Lydia was still in character. Like Lydia's being a little bit lower to the ground and still sort of doing some of that physicality even when she's not the main focus. And that I really, really appreciate, Beth.
I agree. And I think that she did a really good job. I do think that she defied expectations that maybe a lot of us had for her. But I also went into this thinking I think that she could do a good job considering how she did in the lip sync a few weeks ago. Like she clearly has a sense of rhythm and can dance and like move her body. And she has a physicality when she's on the runway that is very different from other people and like really embodies what she's trying to put together from these looks from a very different perspective. I did feel like she was still somewhat rigid in the performance, like thinking about what the next step is, or like her face, I think, kind of defied her a few times. Like, I'm doing this, but I'm like sitting here with kind of like almost deer in the headlights at times. But I do think that what saved her was that Corey was not in it as physically as she was. So I do think that made her pop even more, which is what I'm trying to say about the Suzie thing. Is I felt like if Suzie had done something with a group, she like whatever she's doing is going to look good by comparison if the other queens aren't bringing it to her level, right? This is a prime example of what I'm talking about. I think Lydia did a great job. She deserved to be safe. I think this runway is so pretty. I love this outfit. I love the idea that it's just like completely see-through with like these beautiful what magenta-esque, I guess, colored flowers and the green, and then like the hat being the parasol. Like I just thought this was so cool. And I always look forward to what she's going to do on the runway, because even if I don't necessarily like it, I love that it's so different from anything else I've ever seen before. Her perspective is so cool to me.
Mm-hmm.
The juxtaposition of the two of these people.
You mean Lydia and Corey? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I can't tell if Corey is huge or if Lydia is small. Like, what is going on?
Lydia is in middle school, so it is likely that she hasn't hit her, growth spurt.
And they're together, which I think is just so cute.
Are they dating actually in real life?
Yes, they are still together. I think this might be a first, right, for Drag Race, where they've stayed together for this long after the show.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Me too. It's I'm kind of invested now.
I break up now. Sorry.
Lydia's okay in this performance. I same with Corey. Sorry to jump ahead to Corey, but I feel like they're just kind of
have to talk about
them right now. But this runway, though, I will say for Lydia is like when I was like, okay, I think I'm starting to get it now. I'm starting to get it, because a few of her runways have been very just like, girl, it's not, no. But now I'm like, okay, I see your point of view. I see, how you interpret things, and the parasol headpiece was like chef's kiss for me. So I do still feel like a lot of her things are ill-fitting. I think that there needs to be so much more. She just needs more volume to the body. It just feels like that this kind of thing is like sort of just like dragging her down. So I think that her proportions need to be fixed up. Like, girl, like your boyfriend is Corey. Like, let her hook you up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think she was fine. I kind of feel like both of them should have been in the bottom, to be honest, because I don't think that they were in sync in this. I mean, they were doing a parody of Sing from a chorus line, and I feel like you really have to be in sync with one another for this to pull that kind of number off. And I feel like there is no failing where the other one succeeds. I think that you both fail together. So
I did think that they did the choreography justice. Like I thought that they were in sync. It was just that they weren't in sync with the physicality of the character. That's where I felt like they were off from each other.
Okay.
Let's talk about Corey, which actually Corey's runway look is her Dorothy like it's obviously very Dorothy inspired, which was so funny that this ended up like lining up with the musical, the Rusical. Yes, exactly. I love the proportions. I do hear some of the critiques that she got on the runway about it not being as elevated as some of the other looks that were out there. But in terms of her actual performance, like I echo what y'all have said. Like she wasn't committed enough to it, is how it felt, right? Like you gotta go full flying monkey. I know this isn't what you wanted, but now that you've got it, right, you got to take that role and try to run with it or fly with it, I guess, as best as you can, you know?
She said that she spent $5,000 on her package, which work, bitch, because don't break the bank for strangers. I love that. But at the same time, you can tell. So it's like if you're going to spend that 5,000, make sure that you make that shit shine. You know what I mean? And she said that she went to animation school, and she said that, you know, when she was in school, what they would always teach is make your characters, give them a lot of characterization, a lot of, like, you know, customization, but you still want the fit to be easy so that it's easily replicated and duplicated so that it, you know, the animation goes a lot more quickly. He said, that's what I tried to do for all of my runway looks. I just wanted to be as 2D as possible. I wanted to look like a cartoon, and I just wanted your eyes to easily digest whatever it is I'm giving. And it is easily digestible. It is, and it doesn't look bad. It's just, damn, like, when you have people that are spending upwards of $25K on their shit, it's like, you know, you're gonna fall behind, which I think sucks. I do think that sucks. Like, you shouldn't have to break the bank, but it's just an unfortunate reality right now.
I do think that most of her outfits were made by her and like Plain Jane and like other people as well. And so I'm sure a lot of what she spent money on was literally like the fabrics and supplies in order to like make some of the stuff. And then maybe had a couple other pieces, like, you know, a couple pieces like maybe more professionally made. That said, and I say professionally made as if these are not queens who make their shit and make money off of what they're doing. So these are professionals. Like, they're not like maybe like all they do is like design and construct costumes and outfits and such. But that said, I think this is one of my favorite silhouettes we've seen from her because it is so different from the miniskirt. And I love that she has like the most beautiful figure. And I love the way that she pads, and it's so smooth.
And it's always on point.
It's always on point. It is so beautiful. So this kind of silhouette, this like mermaid trumpet kind of vibe, and with like the Dorothy look with the, you know, the Wiz kind of inspired Dorothy with, you know, there's something with like satin on the inside of the parasol that gives it the musical theater look to it, that it looks like the curtain or something, you know. Like, I just got like, this came across as very costumey while also being kind of fashionable. And while I don't think it was like it looks basically constructed in a lot of ways, I still really want to give her points for like, thank you for showing us something different that still shows off that gorgeous body that you have. And I don't know if I necessarily 1,000% love the outfit. Like, there's something about the white and the, you know, the kind of checkered that just doesn't seem like the hems don't seem finished, or there's just something that's too simplistic, or like maybe there should have been like a lining on the outside that separated the white from the like gingham kind of look, right? Is, you know, some kind of like maybe yellow or something, that like yellow brick stitching, or I don't know, something like that.
I was about to say the same thing. It needs like a little outline to really make that pop. Like, if she had like gone down the side of her with some like yellow rhinestones or something, ooh, that would have
or taken some of that satin literally and did like the V on like the inside of like the where the white background, so to say, is like where the gingham straps go down all the way into that V and everything. If it was like outlined in like the yellow satin from the parasol, like just that little thing that would have made it better. I love the idea of like the ruby nipples things, but they don't seem like they're where they should be, which is what is so distracting about it. And it comes across as like a little cheap. Like,
it's just a little washed out. It's too much white.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. I think it just, and because of that, white showcases everything, right? So if you have white on the background, you were going to see every missed hem or this doesn't look the same size as that or whatever. So I just think that like that was just what she was missing here, was just something to like make it a little bit more distracting.
That's fair. I think that's fair. Let's talk about Onya Nurve, who this was my favorite song overall, Aman, of the performances. And she just, like, every single pore oozes charisma. Like, what can't this woman do? It's amazing.
Yeah, it's really becoming who can, and she didn't even win this weekend. We're still kind of just like, okay, she's eating y'all up. Are y'all gonna do something? Yeah. Do something fast, because it's getting down to the wire soon, and I don't know what y'all gonna do. But I love this performance too. It transported me back again to being 10 years old and abusing the fuck out of my the Wiz VHS. Like, it just really gave everything it needed to give. Like, the fashion was on point. It was very much what she wore in the movie. And the choreography, I know that she was struggling with it a little bit when she was learning it, but she was in sync, and it was so full of energy that y'all got to figure something out, girl, because she's about to eat y'all up. She's about to eat y'all up.
Can I say something controversial?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I thought she was gonna be in the bottom. She missed quite a few words in her lip sync to her own song.
Oh, I have to go back and watch.
There's times where she stops singing like a couple words and then just picks it back up again, like while she's doing a turn or something like that. I thought, and they even mentioned that, like, oh, we could tell that, like, you know, you were really trying to think of the choreo. Like, I saw and I felt all that. Her charisma and the energy that she gives is exactly what I was talking about though before, which is that, yeah, maybe you're not a dancer, but you have to still like give that performance, give that energy, give that thing. She's like the master of that, right? In the way that like Jada Essence Hall like can like mess up and like still make it a part of the thing, and like everybody kind of just laughs with her instead of at her, or instead of going, ooh, that's cringe. Onya has like the same kind of like presence to be able to do that. But I genuinely, she missed words. I thought she missed a couple steps, like, but the energy was there and it came across as if like she was just doing so well. And the judges even mentioned like, oh yeah, we saw that there were issues with like this or that, but you were just so full of energy and love or whatever. And I think that that's a great thing, actually, because that's now 2 weeks where they're like, hey, Snatch Game, you bombed so hard that it was funny, Lexi, like you're in the top. Like, I like that they're showing that sometimes when you bomb, if you're able to kind of like go with it to a certain extent, like you can still make that a positive thing or a positive performance. But when I saw her up there, I didn't think there were 4 tops. I thought that there were going to be, you know, oh, here's the bottom. Like I thought that she might be in the bottom, which I wouldn't have necessarily agreed with. I just thought when they said all of these queens up there, I thought that she was going to be at the bottom because of that. That said, I think she should have been high safe. I think that she, like, again, like you guys are saying, like, I don't know if I have another queen in mind that I have just loved the energy that she provides every single week. Like I would love for her. I said it last week. I'm going to keep saying it. Lauren Michaels hired this girl to be on SNL. I would watch Onya Nurve as a drag queen in and out of drag on SNL every single week. Every single week. Put her in every freaking sketch. Do everything, because she is that talented to me of a presence. And that is so rare, even like among drag queens and such. Like this, she is so special. And I am so enthralled by her.
Yep. I mean, it's starting to feel like this is Anya's to lose this season. I'm just gonna say. I mean, obviously they're getting a lot of love for Sam Starr. And there it does feel, and I've said this from the beginning, that there's sort of this group of queens that feel like this is the sort of top group. But you never know. We'll see how the season progresses.
I do like the outfit. I thought that was like I think that her biggest issue typically is the runways, but I have thought the past couple of weeks they're unique. There's a different vision. and that kind of thing. And I like the joy that she had on the runway this week and how it was like contrasting with that kind of like kind of attitude that she normally like brings to the runway. I loved that. And she's so enthralling.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Let's talk about our last queen, our eliminated queen here with Acacia Forgot. And for someone to fight so hard for a role and to do what felt like so little with it. Like she feels flat, like low energy. It just it wasn't it. I get it. She immediately was in the bottom for me when she started performing. Like, I'm sorry.
It was a trap. She should have known that role was a trap. Like every other number is high energy with large amounts of choreography. Yours is the last song, and it's the slowest song. There's nothing going on. Even all the girls leave the stage when you're singing that song. Like there's nobody there but you. It's so bad. And it was so robotic. I was like, you are a singer, okay? You are a songwriter. That's great. But you need the performance. I don't know if you can, and I mean this in the most respectful way possible, Acacia. I don't know if going on the road for your music is what's for you. You might need to be a ghostwriter. I'm so serious because
I'm with you.
Where was the performance? It was so robotic. It was like there was
no
nothing
emotion
on your face.
Yeah.
That was the most emotional song lyrically, and nothing happened. I wanted you to get off the stage. That was the first time that I was bored, and I feel so bad. But like, girl, that was a trap. That was a trap. You fell right into it. God damn. God.
I honestly, this is where we see the disconnect between her drag life and her musician life. And then also maybe a disconnect between being a performer, an entertainer, I should say, and being a musician. Okay. So there were multiple levels here that I was disappointed in. As a fellow musician, I felt like there was no dynamics. There was no emotional swells. Even in her voice when she was singing, it was beautiful, but it was monotone. It was flat. It was like one dynamic. There wasn't swells. There wasn't like passion. This is a song where this is the 11 o'clock number of the quote unquote main character, right? This is your moment to say, it's my moment. I'm going to take it. Right. And she just, and she decided to sing it softly and like try to be poignant with it. And I'm like, this is your Dreamgirls moment. Come on. You got to get out there and like sing. So as a musician, I felt like, okay, she didn't give it vocally the way that she could have given. Then she just kind of stood there and looked up, and that was about it. And I'm like, you could make this so campy by having like little faces that you're doing, like little moments, or like you could have been like, like, I mean, there's so many things you could have done to be over the top with it. You still could have been sentimental, but like, give us something more. And then I'm okay with a park and bark, but you got to command the stage. And she didn't do that. And I just felt, I was like, well, she's going to be in the bottom for sure. And of course she was. I loved the parasol wig kind of thing. I thought that was a cool concept, but I just kind of generally feel like she's still discovering a lot about her and herself as a musician. I did appreciate that we got some background about her, being born with cystic fibrosis and what that has been like for her. I have to imagine that like she just generally gives a very cool, calm, collected kind of vibe for everything. And I have to imagine when you face your mortality every day of your life, nothing is as serious as that, right? And so I do want to applaud her for having like, I'm going out. I wasn't normally supposed to, like, a lot of people don't live past middle school, high school. Here I am, and I'm in my 20s, and I'm on a national television show for a drag competition. I'm considered, like one of these premier queens now. I have an interest in having a music career and that kind of thing. I have no sense of what singing and being a musician must be like with cystic fibrosis. Like, that's gotta be so difficult. And so I do want to like give her roses for being like, that's really effing inspiring to come out here and show us like, hey, like I'm living my life because God knows when that's going to end and I'm going to just do it. But I just wish there was a little bit more feeling of that she was giving it her all, because that's the one thing I feel like we're not getting from her or got from her.
It did feel a little bit like, yeah, I did appreciate it at times where it was like the go on girl, give us nothing, kind of like whatever, like F you. But then you
the Dua Lipa of it all.
Yeah. Then here it's like, okay, we're gonna need you to come on and give us something, right? And that is just, it was her time to go. I mean, in terms of she performed the worst this week, right? So to me, it was pretty obvious, because the lip sync, we actually only have 2 bottoms in the judging this week. We don't have 3, right. So only Acacia and Corey end up in the bottom. So, you know, even in Untucked, it's like, no, it's very obvious that we are the 2 that are going to be lip syncing. And so they do lip sync to Adam Lambert's song Wet Dreams, who was the guest judge this week. And, you know, I didn't mind Acacia's interpretation, but I think because she performed so poorly in the Rusical, that it's like you really have to do so much better in the lip sync to be able to pull yourself out of the hole you created for yourself. So even Corey losing her wig was not enough to save her. So
I love Butthole being like, I told her to glue that wig down, and I wanted to be like, why didn't you tell her to glue it down before the runway? Because bitch, the area next to her ears was popping off on the runway. And I'm like, what? Why are you not gluing that shit down, Corey?
See, she told her. She told her.
See, Corey's so funny to me, because she'll come out here and read every queen for every little mistake they make as if she doesn't come out a little busted every single week. And I'm like, come on, Corey. Like,
it's gotta be. It's her brand. Come on.
I know. But it is like clearly she's just trying to make television, which is fantastic. And I love that.
Yeah, here for it. All right. So that does it for, I think, everything for this episode. Next week, we're getting another design challenge of outfits inspired by Betsy Johnson. So we'll see what
who I share a birthday with.
Oh, really? Okay.
When I learned that I share a birthday with Antonio Banderas, Betsy Johnson, and Kylie Jenner, I thought to myself, what a crap.
Oh, wow.
What a group.
That's company
but
there.
Betsy Johnson, I thought back and I was like, she really would be the most Leo of Leos. Like, her style is just like anything. Just look at it. I'm wild and crazy and warm and fun and be yourself and I love you and also whatever. I just love that. That's cool.
Yeah. So it'll be fun. All right. Is there anything else that either of you want to say for this week's episode?
No, I just hope that Jules gets her win at some point. This is looking like another Arrietty type deal challenge, but Jules also has some designing chops, so I'm rooting for Jules. That's my dark horse of the season. I want to see you take it home, girl. I really do.
Same. I love that.
I still like. I think the 2 queens I'm rooting for the most right now are going to be Onya and Lexi. Like, to me, my heart, my brain, my soul is tickled by both of them. I feel like my brain is like tickled by Jules, but my heart isn't in her yet. It's not that my heart's not in her. I shouldn't say that. My soul is in her. My heart and my brain are with her, but my soul hasn't felt her as the winner yet. And I think it's because purely based off of the judges not giving her deserved roses, not because I don't think she has the potential for it, if that makes sense. I'm just thinking of like from a production standpoint.
Right. That the judges aren't valuing her. And we see that in these past 2 episodes. So I think that that's a fair take. Well, you can find me on social media at Lianaism on Blue Sky. Check out the Puya and Liana Lounge. Again, highly plugging that. It's super, super, super fun. And then also, Mike and I recorded the B&B preview because this season of Survivor 48, it's like right around the corner. It's like literally happening. It's now. So we will be doing coverage throughout the rest of the season. And then, of course, the Survivor draft is going to be coming up. Potentially even that may have happened by the time you're listening to this. But that is everything for me. Aman, anything you want to plug, social media or otherwise?
You can follow me everywhere at Aman Adwin. Make sure that you check me and Matt Lagorde's podcast, The Diary Room, out. We just recorded another episode with another player from BB Can 12. So that'll be coming up very shortly. So check us out over there.
And Beth, what about you?
You can find me at Beth-Dixon on Blue Sky, or is that my Blue Sky? I don't remember. You'll find me some. If you put Beth Dixon some capacity in there, I'm sure you'll find me. Or you can follow me on Instagram at Augusta111. Nothing else that I'm doing except for holding the fort here on Drag Race.
All right, beautiful. So that does for us. Like I said, we'll be back next week to talk all about another design challenge. You can leave your star ratings and reviews for us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you to the whole RHAP team for all of their help behind the scenes, and we'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.